Hey guys, this is Heart of Ruth, and I have another word for you guys. I trust that this video finds you guys well. Now, this is a right now word for someone, and I'm going to go right into it because there is a lot to unpack. So, I had this dream, and this was very recently. And in the dream, my family and I, this is a prophetic dream, by the way, my family and I were running this business. And in waking life, we actually do have a family business. But in this dream, we weren't in the same line of business. It was a different line of business that we were in. I believe it was some sort of building and construction or something like that. And that is very significant, and I'll explain that later. Now, there were quite a few employees who were employed with my family's company in this dream, with their construction company. However, two of these employees in particular were quite shady. And I do not think that my family were aware of how shady these people were. But I knew. And that's another thing. Some of you, well, anyhow, I'll get into that a little bit later. Let me just explain the dream. One of the people who was shady, one of the employees who was shady, was this lady, and I'm going to describe her. The description of her may be significant to someone. She was of African descent, between 33 and 40 years old. She had hair that looked like it had been salt pressed. And it had this sort of appearance like when you, well, for all the African American girls out there like me, you guys know what happens when we get a silk press, and then it humidity takes over. So it looked like that. It looked like she'd had a silk press, and the humidity won. Let's just say that. And it had this sort of silverish gray tint to it. That was the color of it. It was silver gray. I don't know if that's just her natural hair color in the dream, or if it was dye. It was probably dyed that way. But she was wearing a lot of glittery colors. She was wearing this dress, and I remember thinking that was a bit odd in the dream. I believe it was a pink sweater and a green, sort of like a dark green dress, and it had glitters all over it. And I remember thinking in the dream, why would she wear something like that to work at a construction site? That was just the thought that was in my head. But I digress. So for whoever this is for, if that description fits someone you know, then you know that this is for you, okay? And the lady was visibly pregnant as well. She looked like she could have been at least 7 months pregnant. She was heavily pregnant. However, this did not deter her from picking a fight with me. She was provoking me. I can't remember how in the dream, but she was provoking me. And if anyone who knows me knows anything about me, they know that I have to really be provoked in order to retaliate. So I'm not hot-headed. That means that if someone picks on me, if someone picks a fight with me, I'm not going to just jump right in and fight with them. It has to be that it's a continuous thing. It's an ongoing thing. And she was just nitpicking and coming for me over and over. And eventually I got mad and I cussed her out, which is uncharacteristic for me, even in waking life. I'm not going to be out here cussing anybody out. I would sooner walk away from the situation than cuss someone out because, back in the day when I didn't know the Lord, when I wasn't sold out for Jesus, you would have gotten yours. You might have even gotten these hands, okay? But now, as a Christian and with growth and wisdom coming in there, and the fruit of the Spirit and all that good stuff, I'm not going to be out here just cussing people out. So even in the dream, after I cussed this lady out, and I cussed her out good. I think even the people in the neighboring area heard me because I was that loud. After I cussed her out, I remember immediately feeling repentant about it. I remember thinking, I came out of character. Now what is my family going to think? I feel bad that I came out of character. I stooped to this person's level, and I really didn't want to do that. So I was immediately repentant of my actions in the dream. So now let's go to the other person, the other employee who was shady. Now, this employee, he was sort of like, he had almost like a caramel complexion. He was African American also. He had this caramel complexion, beautiful caramel complexion. He had dreadlocks, really long, dark dreadlocks. He wasn't a bad looking guy, but he did have bad intentions. And for whoever this is for, I want you to pay attention to that. This guy did not, he looked as though he wasn't out to do you any harm, to do anyone any harm, but he was trouble. Because when I was alone, he literally tried to sexually assault. He did sexually assault me. He didn't go like all the way, but he did physically force himself on me. And guys, disclaimer, I'm putting this out there. It's a trigger. This may be triggering for some person. So if this is going to be triggering for you, please skip through this part of the video. You can still come back to the other parts, and the explanation is still going to be pretty clear to you. But guys, in the dream, the way this guy assaulted me, what he did was he came up behind me when I was getting something out of like a locker. There was a locker on the work site that possibly belonged to me, but it was a big locker. It actually looked like a closet that I actually have in my bedroom right now. That's what it looked like. It was that big of a locker. And I was in it. It was big enough that if two people were in there together, you couldn't really see what was going on from the outside. You'd have to be in there with them to see exactly what was going on. Okay, and he came up behind me when I least expected it. And he put his body on mine. My back was to him, and he put his body, when I say he put his body, I mean everything, his manhood and everything. He just put his body on me. And he did it in such a way that it was so, I couldn't move. Because it's as if he put his entire weight on me. And I mean, I could feel, well, ladies, you know what I could feel. But I was really annoyed. I was scared. I was angry. I felt violated. I remember thinking, I was terrified, but at the same time, I remember being angry. I was like, how could this man do this to me? How dare he come into my family's business place? They took a chance on him, they hired him, and then this is what he does? But I managed somehow to get away from him, so he wasn't able to go further than that. I don't know how I got away from him. I can't remember exactly how I did get away from him, but I did get away from him, thankfully. And then I ended up telling my family. Well, my family saw the attack on me from the lady. They saw what the lady did. And at first, they were kind of on two minds about addressing the issue because of the fact that she tried to make it look like I started the fight, like I started the argument. But I didn't. And eventually, my family came to see this. And then, of course, I told them about the guy and about what he did. And, right. So eventually they got to know about these two people, these two employees. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. There was this bird and it was whistling really close nearby, somewhere out there, outside my window. And it was so peaceful that I just got distracted for a minute, but let me continue. That's what God will do. When you're upset, he will just calm you all the way down. He knows exactly what it takes to calm you down. You guys won't believe how soothing the sound of that bird whistling right outside my window. That is so soothing. But anyhow, let me get back into the dream. My family found out about these two people because I made them aware. They saw the attack from the first lady. They did not see the attack from the guy. But I had to tell them about that. And what happened was both persons were fired. And I believe the cops were called. The police were actually called in for the lady and for this guy. And the lady, I remember when she was being escorted out of my family's business place, she was still cussing. She was still hollering and carrying on. She was still talking smack. She was like, it's like she intended to go down fighting against me. And with the guy, it was the same thing. I mean, he didn't openly threaten me, but I felt like it was understood between him and I that he was trying to get the message across that he wasn't finished. That if he got me alone, he was going to finish. But he never did get me alone again in the dream because the cops came. He was fired, and the cops came and they took him. And that happened really quickly. All of this happened within 24 hours. And that is also significant. Now, in the dream, the person who was instrumental in getting rid of these people was my mom. And in waking life, my mother, I look to her as something of the voice of reason. She is my sounding board. She's the person that I go to make wise judgment in real life, in waking life. So the fact that this woman whose judgment I trust was instrumental in getting rid of these people when I spoke out against them, that in itself speaks volumes. Because I trust her judgment in real life, and she was the one that executed the judgment on these employees in the dream. So guys, first of all, to unpack this, the lady who was attacking me, the one who I ended up in the verbal altercation with, and she was cussing me out in front of my family, and she kept provoking me until I retaliated. This represents someone or a group of people who have been attacking you openly. They have not been hiding the fact that they are attacking you. And I remember that in the dream, I didn't even know her that well. I think she was a new employee or something. She and I didn't even know each other that well. So these are people that may not have even known you for very long. They probably don't even know much about you as a person, but your light is irritating their demons. Okay, these are troubled people. They're troubled by a demon, just like Saul was. David didn't do anything to Saul. He was just troubled by a demon. And David's presence, mere presence, irritated those demons in Saul. So it's the same thing with these people. These people, this woman, and she was pregnant in the dream. So help me here, Holy Spirit. That pregnancy shows like being filled up with everything that is vile, everything that is filthy, everything that is ungodly. And it can also represent that it's more than one. She came in the form of one person in the dream, but it could be more than one person that is openly attacking you right now. And these people may not even be together. When I say together, they may not even know each other. They may not even be related to each other in any way. But it's a group of people that all seem to be attacking you in the same way. They're provoking you. They're trying to get a reaction out of you. And the fact that she was dressed in this manner, she had on this obnoxious glitter outfit with these clashing colors and stuff for work, that just shows that these people are inappropriate in every way. They are out of order in every way. They don't mind being inappropriate. They don't mind being loud. They don't mind being intrusive. They want people to look at them as intrusive. They want to intimidate people. So they're loud and they're obnoxious because they want to intimidate you. And you may be encountering people like this at your workplace. You may be encountering people like this at school if some of you are studying. You may even be encountering people like this just when you go to the grocery store or in your apartment building. They're just everywhere, and they seem to be just popping out everywhere. So there's that. And then the second person who was attacking me, that person attacked me in private. He did not attack me openly. He did not attack me while my family was looking. He came into my own private locker, and the locker looked very much like a closet in my current bedroom. So he came into my personal space in more ways than one when he had no right to be there, and he attacked me and no one saw. So basically, when I spoke out against him, it was my word against his because no one saw when he was attacking me. And what that represents, and then to the appearance, he had this clean-cut appearance. He didn't look like he was capable of stuff like that. He was the kind of person that people would look at and think that, oh, he's harmless. But he wasn't harmless.